Today's topic is something that teachers and therapists are trained to do, something that a lot of grown-ups pick up by instinct, but something that all families should aspire to do with their kids at home. Can anyone guess what it is? No, let me give you a clue. The term is also used for building. It looks something like this, and it starts with a S sound. All of those things that I did are examples of scaffolding. Let's get talking. Hey, if you're new here, I'm Teacher Kaye and I'm a certified speech-language pathologist. So earlier when I said that our topic today is about scaffolding, what image came to your mind? So I'm sure you've seen scaffolding in like construction sites where they put support structures around a building so that they can step and stand on places when they're building up to the next level. And that's a pretty straightforward analogy for what scaffolding is in speech-language therapy. Scaffolding has also been known as guided or cooperative learning. All it means is that an MKO, or a more knowledgeable other, gives guidance or facilitation or assistance to a child so that they can complete a task or achieve a goal or solve a problem that is just outside of their capabilities at the moment. And so scaffolding works by building on their current skills, what they already know. I'm sure you've heard me mention the word mastered. Have they mastered the skill? And that is what we're going to try to figure out today. Because according to a scientist named Vygotsky, there's a zone of proximal development. And that is the gap between the skills that your child already knows how to do without any assistance and what they can only do with assistance. So the most important thing to do first before starting on this technique is number 1, knowing your child's current level. Now this may be confusing for parents because sometimes you'll hear your child maybe say a word once or twice and think they already know that word, but that's not how it works. So sometimes they're testing it out, but they haven't generalized it, so they can't use it, let's say, on command when you ask them to say it, or when they see a picture, so it depends on the context of use. The dangers of not understanding your child's current set of skills is that, well, you could be scaffolding too low. Let's say your child is already at level 3, but you're scaffolding at level 1. So that means that they kind of already know what the concept is, but every time that it comes up, you still keep giving them the answer. Scaffolding too low is like spoon feeding your child. And what happens with spoon feeding is that they are not challenged enough to try to even attempt to get to the next level. And on the other hand, scaffolding too high, so for example, your child's skill level is at level 3 and your scaffolding is at level 5. What could happen when your scaffolding is too high is that you keep expecting your child to already know how to solve the problem, how to complete the task, so that the assistance that you're providing them is not appropriate to just their zone of proximal development. So they're not going to be able to achieve that goal. And when they see that they can't achieve it, they also will tend to become frustrated. When children become frustrated in a task, they might have a tendency to avoid tasks like that altogether. So you have to be very vigilant about frustration tolerance. Once you've determined their skill level, this will help you, number 2, prepare activities that are more appropriate for their zone of proximal development. This will also help you choose materials to buy for your children to interact with at home. So for example, you would give a 1-year-old maybe a form board or a wooden puzzle board with shapes of animals or different shapes, maybe the alphabet, maybe numbers. But for a 3-year-old, that will already be too easy. So you would probably have maybe 4 or 5 piece puzzles of pictures or visual scenes and things like that. In my episode about books in episode 10, I also show how knowing the current level of your child will help you point things out in a book more appropriately. Like, you wouldn't read long pieces of text to 1-year-olds. Instead, you would want to focus more on vocabulary and pointing to pictures and demonstrating actions. In episode 1, I mentioned breaking information down into chunks. In my last episode, I talked about answering yes or no questions. So yes or no questions are really good at leading them into the idea. Modeling, as in episode 6, is also a good way to scaffold. So for example, you introduce a new toy to the house and your child doesn't know how to play with this toy, so you have to show him how it's played first. So you model how pieces fit together. Can you stack them? Can you roll them? And my favorite way of scaffolding is giving cues and learning when to wean them off. But we'll talk about that next time because cues can be an episode on its own. If I go back to the definition that I provided earlier, I said that scaffolding requires a more knowledgeable other. They didn't use the term adult or grown-up, and this is precisely because even their peers can provide this support or assistance, and that is why it is so important to socialize your child. Now, sadly, during this lockdown and keeping all our children indoors at home has given them less opportunities to socialize, but they can really learn so much from each other because other children pick up other things from their homes and they will teach that to each other. So now, without that socialization, I urge you guys to be those people for your children. Always provide them that scaffolding that they could have had in their other activities at home. And that's why it is so important that your kids are always with a more knowledgeable other. And TV and screen time are just not good replacements for that. So let's find as much time as possible as we can, even in this lockdown. And that's it for today. Thanks for being here. If you have any questions or need help determining your child's zone of proximal development, leave me a message on Facebook or Instagram at Teacher Kaye Talks or on the comment section below. And that's it, guys. Happy week and happy talking.